So it all starts with a conversation. In Ireland we're very good for the storytelling and having the chats, and I suppose that's where I go with a lot of this, but starting the conversation. And I realised that I really need to get us thinking about more in particularly because I suppose for me, part of my passion for wanting to help people understand online anymore is because of how it's affecting our young people. And the video, I don't know if you saw it, the one I shared about being hurt. I was telling my mum about it and we were having the conversation, and I said, told her, I said I shared it because I actually wanted to share it for a very good friend of mine who had it felt right to share it and all that. And we talked about it. And of course, as any mother would, she said, I really wish you told me about it when it happened at the time. Now, when it first started happening, if you haven't seen that video, you can pop onto it in the end. I got very, very badly beaten up at a horse show. And I'm going to fix my dog as we're walking along. And that was a series of events. It had happened several times around something that happened in the horsey scene. And I know a lot of this happened to a lot of my friends as well, where if a guy hit and thumped you, it was kind of accepted as normal, which is wrong. And it's very easy to sit back as an adult now and look and say that's wrong. But we were all very young and I suppose trying to make our way out in the world. And it made me realise how important it is to help young people understand who are the adults they can really rely on. Because in fairness, when they get to teenage years, they don't want to be running back to mommy and daddy all the time, but they can sit and have a conversation. And actually one of those very good friends of mine, and maybe that's where it came from, I would be like one of the confidants for her daughter, and she comes over for a treatment. It's not really a treatment, but it's a chat. I do a therapy treatment, and and she has several people like that in her life, and I suppose that's what sparked me to talk about this right now. Because as my mum said to me, she goes, why didn't you tell me? Because of course any parent will want to protect their child. Even if they're in, my parents still protect me and love me, and I'm a bit more than 21 now. But and I said, but when you start to go into that transition from no longer being a child where your parents are the only ones that you would go to, that you start becoming a teenager and an adult and you want to stand up, you rely on the people that are around you. And as I said, because there were adults there right from the very beginning who saw what happened, or I told them what happened, and it was like, sure, doesn't matter, let it go, it's fine. That's how it developed. So to have come from a very, very loving home, and the reason I'm sharing this really confused me for an awful long time, because I was like, but because in fairness, a lot of people out there, they blame your family. It was your family, it came from your family. And I was like, but no, my parents they never would hit me, ever. They would never. And I was, and it came from, but my confidence was really, really shook. And I brought these patterns forward with me right up into my life until very, very recently. I'm in my 40s now. So that's a long time to have carried this by not understanding where it stemmed from. So I shared that video. And of course, Mum, as she always said, I really wish you came and tell me, we'd have fixed it and everything. And I said, that's us thinking as an adult. Think back to when you were a child. And I said, did you always say that thing? And like that, it gave her a real epiphany. So when you think about it, particularly with young people, stop thinking about them as being an adult. They're not adults. Go back to when we were that age and how we felt. And I mean, below the 10 was the innocence. And then, the teens and everything, it was like, oh, I want to be the cool one and everything. And, and she said, I knew there were people out in the world that will hurt you, but I didn't know how to protect you. And she was right. She didn't make me scared of people or anything. And she always, and that was actually, when I think about it, was something, because Irish are great for a lot of things, but they're also known as the drunken Irish as well. And she was always very conscious of that. So the deal was, because she knew if she kept me away from it, it wasn't going to be a good idea. So she said, look, I used to be the driver, the designated driver, when I went out with any of my friends. And then when I went out, I actually went out with my parents. Either my parents were there or friends of theirs. And I always became very, very responsible. It was like, make sure, because that was her fear. She says, I don't want you going out drinking with your friends, because what happens if they leave you and they don't get you home? And that made a lot of sense to me. So, you know, the solution we came up with was like, not that you're not going to do it, but she said, look, how about this? And hang on, I'm on a slippy bit. That you will share, or sorry, that you will, you know, if you want to go out, have a night out, see what it's like to be in that space, but you go with older people. And I remember my friends and my cousins and everyone, your parents allow you to do that? And they know. And I went, yeah, because they know I need to understand what it is to socialise and be around alcohol and everything. And I'd be very, very sensible about it. I always joke that I'd always be a very cheap date because I'm not into it. You know, I have a drink with the meal. I have a drink, you know, and it taught me an awful lot. But, you know, and they put me in a place where there were adults who were older, who were thinking of adults. And then I became, shall we say, the adult with all my friends. And I was the designated driver. So it was a great thing. But when you're helping young people, and that's where I suppose this all started from, you have to go back to how you perceived things at that age. And how you wanted to be cool, you want to fit in and everything. And there are people out there that will affect us and it will damage us. And I think chatting to a very good friend of mine about this, her kids are moving into teenage years and everything. And I said, you know, it is a really good idea. Another friend of mine does this, is that, you know, even if they don't have aunts and uncles, they surround them, because she has two brothers, my friend, so she has females in her daughter's life as well, that if her daughter feels she needs to chat to somebody, and it might be something that for whatever reason, because she's getting to that age, doesn't want to talk to mommy anymore, you know, she's in the teenage years, that she has people in her life. So if you're a mum and you have teenagers, are you creating, because our network is our net worth at any age, and are you surrounding your children, your teenagers, your young people with people who will stay guiding them, not just the people who are at their own level, but that are people who are actually able to guide them and let them understand what is right and wrong. My parents did an amazing job. They actually surrounded me with a lot of very good people, and hence why I am I'm proud of who I am today. But I think it's still, even in that, these things came out, but I'm in a place where I can understand it. And I suppose a lot of the confusion happened for me because people were trying to tell me, oh, this must have been something that happened in your childhood and all that. And I was like, no, hang on, Misha. Come on, we have to stay home. We're going to go back in the woods here. So, get the light back. It's just a bit, it's something you might want to think about. Leave something in the comments. Let me know what you think. My purpose of my channel is very much to create a thinking space where we can all think and we can all share. I don't have children of myself, but it's great where if you do have children and you have found things that have really helped your teens and everything get through life, because life is tough, and that's why we need to surround ourselves at every age. Even now, I realised how important it is to surround yourself with people who love you, and the more people who are surrounding you and loving you unconditionally. There's a huge difference between loving you conditionally and loving you unconditionally. I have a massive circle of people who I know love me unconditionally and love me for who I am, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if you want to do it too, start doing it, reach out, get in touch. And as I do with every video, do the whole subscribe, the notifications, and you know what I'm talking about. Help me share this, get this out to more people, because the reactions, my YouTube channel will be just over a week old, and I'm getting fantastic comments from people and everything. So it's up to you to help me get it out to more. So thank you very much, and see you in the next one. Bye.